Here today, there tomorrow. Always the outsider. Norma Jean still managed average grades. Then suddenly, she was Norma Jean Stringbean no longer. Girls cast envious glances. Boys whistled. In high school, Norma Jean was restless. She liked to run very hard. She never graduated.
Oh.
James Doherty, now a gun instructor with the Los Angeles police, was 21 when he married the 16-year-old schoolgirl who lived down the street.
Well, Doc and Grace were moving to Huntington, West Virginia, where Doc was being transferred. And Norma Jean was going to have to go back to an orphanage. Grace told this to my mother. And she was a little big for an orphanage, so my mother and Grace decided it might be a good idea if Norma Jean and I got married. And I guess the next day or the same day, I don't know, Mom asked me if I would like to marry Norma Jean. And the thought runs through my mind, this is a very young child. At 21, you feel like you're a pretty grown-up man. So I agreed to it anyhow, with the thought that I would be going into the service soon. And she would have a home with my mother while I was gone. She went along with the idea very well for a 16-year-old. I guess she thought this would be very enchanting. I thought it would be pretty enchanting myself. She was a good cook. And I recall that she always liked to mix carrots with peas because of the color. Not because she liked to eat them, but she just liked the color of them. They looked good on a plate. You know, I never knew Marilyn Monroe. I knew Norma Jean Doherty, Norma Jean Baker. But Marilyn Monroe and Norma Jean were two different people. Norma Jean was my wife. Marilyn Monroe was a glamorous movie star. I don't know anything about her life. I never talked to her. I just didn't know her.
When war came, Dorothy joined the Merchant Marine. Norma Jean became a worker in a defense plant. There, a flashbulb started the fairy tale. A swan among her plainer co-workers. She was chosen for a wartime publicity photograph, which found its way into a modeling agency.
Norma Jean looked like the girl next door, and I thought I could make her into something quite marketable in a short length of time. She was very beautiful in a clean-cut, American, wholesome way. Too plump, you would say.
Mrs. Emmeline Snively heads the Blue Book Model Agency, where Norma Jean underwent her first extensive alterations.
Magazine covers. We taught her photographic modeling, how to pose, how to handle your body, smile. She was always trying to lower her smile because she smiled too high, and that made her nose a little long. She had a different kind of knees than other girls. She couldn't just relax her knees and walk smoothly, but every time she'd take a step, her knees would go all the way back and make her bounce.
Eager, determined to learn, Norma Jean was quickly successful as a model. Her face and body, she was discovering, could be her ticket to the world. When Dorothy objected to her new career, she divorced him. Now she was free, 20, and on her way. In 1946, her appearance on 5 magazine covers in a month led to a beginner's contract at 20th Century Fox. Reluctantly, she traded her name for a new one. Marilyn Monroe.
I didn't have an opportunity to do anything, actually, during the year that I was there at 20th Century Fox the first time, except one part in Scudda Who Scudda Hey, and I was cut out of it. And then they dropped me.
She was thought of as a joke by many people. And I think this hurt her very deeply because she was very serious.
This is Harry Lipton, Marilyn's first motion picture agent.
10 o'clock at night, I told Marilyn when Fox had dropped her option, and her immediate reaction was the world had crashed around her ears and unhappiness and tears. And then, typical of Marilyn, she shook her head, set her jaw, and said, well, it really doesn't matter. After all, it's a case of supply and demand.
Undaunted, Marilyn made the rounds. Finally, at Columbia Studios, she read for a part and won the ingenue lead in the Quickie musical.
in your direction. We will throw you all a kiss that's filled with sweet affection. Anyone can see I love you. Anyone can see I care. The way I hold your hand and smile in your direction tells the world my heart is filled with nothing but affection. Lock me in your arms forever. That's the place I want to be. So anyone can see that I belong to you and you belong to me.
With Ladies of the Chorus, Marilyn joined Hollywood's endless parade of movie starlets. Men about town whisked her from one nightclub to another, but Columbia dropped her. She bounced back in a one-joke walk-on in Love Happy with Groucho Marx. For the first time, she was a dumb, blonde sex pot, a role she never again would really escape.
Is there anything I can do for you? What a ridiculous statement.
Mr. Glenyon, I want you to help me.
I have a little sand left. What seems to be the trouble?
Some men are following me.
Really? I can't understand why.
Although her career was getting nowhere, Marilyn was winning important allies. Natasha Lytez, drama coach, was the first of a series of mentors. Johnny Hyde, agent and close friend, ultimately engineered her first major opportunity. Meanwhile, she was forced to take jobs on the edges of show business.
This is the first car I ever owned. I call her Cynthia. She's going to have the best care a car ever had. Put Royal Triton in Cynthia's little tummy.
Right, lady.
Cynthia will just love that Royal Triton.
It was during these hungry days that photographer Tom Kelly made the shots seen around the world. Marilyn's famed nude calendar.
When I first asked her to do it, why, she turned me down. But after thinking it over for a few days, why, she came back and said, I would like to do it. I think it was partially a favor. I had done her a favor once before, and she really did need the money. This is a negative of the calendar of Marilyn that sold 8 million copies. It just happened to be a darn good shot, but I give all the credit to her.
In 1949, Marilyn was still one step from oblivion. Then she played the kept girl in The Asphalt Jungle, a film that I directed. And a spark jumped between her and the audience. I remember she impressed me more off the screen than she did on. There was something touching and appealing about her. And this, of course, is what people finally saw on the screen, what moved them. Now, at quickening tempo, the noise began. The parades, the hoopla, the stunts. Fox rediscovered her, launched the star build-up. The Body Beautiful was on display. In the next 4 years, Marilyn acted, danced, and sang through 16 films of growing importance. Her role stayed the same, the dumb blonde. The viewers treated her as a freak, a backroom joke. But her rising popularity was reflected in a succession of awards.
And it's with honor and pride and pleasure I present this citation to you.
Thank you.
I'd like to present to you the Look Achievement Award as the most outstanding feminine newcomer of 1952.
Thank you, Lawrence.
And as Best Young Box Office Personality, Miss Marilyn Monroe.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols.
Marilyn Monroe, the moviegoers of America, voted you the most popular actress of the year. My congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Stanley.
A showman's gimmick had turned the sidewalk into a pantheon of Hollywood's gods. Now, the Jane Russell, Norma Jean came back to Grauman's. Like the heroine of her own girlhood fantasy, Marilyn was accorded the immortality of wet cement. The hero was already immortal, Joe DiMaggio, baseball's retired Yankee clipper, whom Marilyn would always call my slugger. From a candlelit blind date in Hollywood, he'd pursued her to movie locations amid the breathless anticipation of gossip writers.